The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen and keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you.
Ooh.
Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
This is the FPL Draft Zone, your fantasy team's best signing of the season.
Game Week 2 was insane. We look back at all the best bits, and then it is time for Game Week 3. We've got those all-important waiver options, some trade targets, and more on those Defcon beasts. Hello and welcome to another episode of the FPL Draft Zone, a podcast all about Draft FPL. I'm Dom Crofts. I hope you are well, and we are now 2 game weeks into the new season, and hopefully your draft side are flying high at the top of the table, just like Arsenal, just like Spurs, and just like Liverpool. But if they're not, do not worry, there is still plenty of time to right that ship, and we will be going through a whole host of waiver options a little bit later on. I should say that today I am recording from a hotel room. I am not in my usual studio, so apologies if the sound is not quite up to scratch, but we'll do our best. In a moment, we're going to take a whistle-stop look back at the results from Game Week 2, but before we even do that, please don't forget to subscribe to the pod so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling in the mood, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or some lovely old words on Spotify or whatever podcast platform you listen to us on would also be great. A special shout out to Jacob W0404, Jose Luis Panizza, Pat Ewing and Citizen9 for some very kind comments this week. Please keep them coming. Right, let's take a look back at the weekend that was, and for the second week running, it all began on a Friday night. This time, it was a game between West Ham United and Chelsea, and this one finished 5-1 to Chelsea, with owners of Jared Bowen seriously questioning their life choices. Cole Palmer owners weren't too happy either after he missed the game with a cold groin. But João Pedro stepped up with an excellent display, a goal and 2 assists for him. Neto, Enzo, Chalobah and Caicedo were also on target for Enzo Maresca's side, with Esteval Villian helping himself to an assist in his first start for the club. West Ham, well, they looked unbelievably bad, although Jerf did get an assist for Paqueta's opener, and Nathan Agurd earned himself some Defcon points. So, you know, that's something, I suppose. On Saturday lunchtime, Manchester City were beaten by their bogey team Spurs at the Etihad. It finished 2-0. Brennan Johnson made it 2 goals in as many games for him. João Paulinho also was on target in this one after he missed the opening day win over Burnley. We did say that Paulinho was a shoo-in for some Defcon points in this one, and that didn't actually materialise, but he wasn't far off, and the goal and 3 bonus points means it was a successful day at the office for managers who did bring him in. Bournemouth beat Wolves 1-0 at the Vitality, with another one of our tips, Marcus Tavernier, getting the only goal of the game, and maximum bonus. Diakite was another man we recommended in this one, and he walked away with a clean sheet, 2 bonus points, and some defensive contribution goodness as well. He ended the week with 10 points, and Marcus Senesi earned 14 defensive contributions in this one, having hit 15 the week before against Liverpool. Brentford won 1-0 against Aston Villa in a fairly surprising result at the G-Tech, at least based on how bad Brentford had been in Game Week 1 at Nottingham Forest. Dango Utara was another name we discussed last week, and he got the winner on his debut. He also got maximum bonus and top scored in this game in terms of Defcon, 13 points for him on his Bees debut. Burnley beat Sunderland 2-0 at Turf Moor, and after we praised Josh Cullen for his Defcon performance at Spurs, while also saying he was not exactly a prolific attacking asset, he walked away with a goal and an assist, earning 14 points for his owners. We don't get everything right, all right? Jadon Anthony also got a goal and an assist and missed out on his Defcon bonus by just 1 contribution. And then in the late kickoff on Saturday, Arsenal destroyed Leeds United 5-1 at the Emirates. As predicted, Noni Madueke started on the left, and he'll be starting on the right for the foreseeable future now that Bukayo Saka has picked up a hamstring injury. Martin Odegaard also limped off, but is expected to be in with a chance of returning for next week's game against Liverpool at Anfield. Victor Gyökeres and Jurrien Timber both scored twice. Ricardo Calafiori got 2 assists. And Arsenal's defence looked outrageous for the most part, restricting Leeds to just 0.17 XG. On Sunday, it was the Europa League grudge match between Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest, and it ended all square. Ismaila Sarr put Palace in front from a Munoz assist. Hudson-Odoi equalised from another Ndoi assist, and Lacroix was in the Defcon points for the second week running. Everton beat Brighton 2-0 with Jack Grealish getting 2 assists in his first start for his new club. Iliman Ndiaye scored the first ever competitive goal at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. James Garner added a second. Jordan Pickford rewarded his owners with a penalty save from Danny Welbeck, and he got maximum bonus points as well. And then wrapping up the weekend was the game at Craven Cottage between Fulham and Manchester United, and this one finished 1-1. Another of our picks last week, Lenny Yoro, was so close to getting a goal, but had to make do with an assist. And Alex Iwobi, who we're big fans of on this pod, got an assist for Fulham's equaliser, which came from Emil Smith-Rowe. And then on Monday night, it was Newcastle United against Liverpool in the Alexander Isak derby. It was an insane game. Liverpool winning it 3-2. Hugo Ekitike on target once again. Dan Burn smashing it up for Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes putting in an outrageous performance for the Toon. But in the end, it was a Liverpool victory in the 111th minute from a child. Yes, this week has involved quite a few very young footballers looking very good indeed. So, 2 weeks in, and we can hopefully start to form a few more solid opinions on those players who are performing well, and also on those players who are going to benefit most from these new Defcon rules. And this weekend, there were a few players who made it 2 Defcon returns in as many weeks. Mats Vifa of Brighton, Marcus Senesi of Bournemouth, Maxence Lacroix of Crystal Palace, Sepp van den Berg of Brentford, James Tarkowski of Everton, Matthias de Ligt of Manchester United, Dan Burn of Newcastle, and Virgil van Dijk of Liverpool. Other Defcon winners this week were Bruno Fernandes, James Garner, Michael Keane, Nathan Agurd, Christian Romero, Emmanuel Agbadou, Mikael Damsgaard, Yehor Yarmouk, Nathan Collins, Granit Xhaka, and Reynaldo of Sunderland, Halmar Ekdal and Hannibal of Burnley, Joe Rodon of Leeds, and Sasa Lukic of Fulham. So that is what happened in Game Week 2. But let's not dwell on the past any longer, because now it's all eyes forward with a look ahead to Game Week 3, which is the final game week before the first international break of the season. And no one wants to go into an international break off the back of a defeat. So let's try to help your draft side make a step in the right direction with a few new signings. It is time for Waiver Wants.
The FPL Draft Zone. Waiver wants.
And as usual, we're going to go through the game week fixture by fixture and flag some players who should be free in your draft league and who could be the difference between success and failure. And there are some big fixtures to look forward to this weekend, starting with a Saturday lunchtime game between Chelsea and Fulham. It is a West London derby. It is Chelsea's third London derby in a row, and they've got another one coming up in game week 4 as well. Their record against Fulham is mixed. They won at Craven Cottage last season but lost at Stamford Bridge, with Rodrigo Muniz getting a last-minute winner. Cole Palmer didn't play against West Ham this weekend because of, and I quote, a cold groin. And while you would expect his groin to have warmed up in time for this one, if it doesn't, Esteval Villian definitely did enough to justify a second start in a row for Enzo Maresca's side. He ended the game against West Ham with an XGI of 0.90, which followed on from an XGI of 0.71 in just 36 minutes against Crystal Palace in game week 1. So if you have a fifth midfield spot that you're unhappy with and you want someone who can impact a game from minimal minutes and has the potential to carve out a first team place sooner rather than later, then you could do a lot worse than Willian. Tosin Adarabioyo got the start against the Hammers over Josh Achampong, and he'd be a good route into the Chelsea backline should you so wish. And if any managers jumped off Enzo Fernandez early, he'd be a solid pickup this week. He ended up with an XG of over 1 against West Ham. He was on the score sheet as well. He was excellent at the Club World Cup, and I would be very happy to sign him for my draft team if he was available. He's certainly a safer pick than someone like Esteval Villian. As for Fulham, the striker Hokey Cokey is in full effect, with Raul Jimenez and Rodrigo Muniz sharing minutes in those first 2 game weeks of the season, which isn't ideal for owners of either player. Anthony Robinson made an earlier than expected return to first team action against Manchester United, and he looked good in his 28-minute cameo. And it's Leeds and Brentford at home next for Fulham, so if you do want to future-proof your backline, he would be a clever signing as well. And of course, if Alex Iwobi is free in your draft league, he is a player who no one seems to talk about as a viable draft asset, but he is a consistent performer, and with those games coming up, you would expect him to do the business in the next few game weeks for Marco Silva's side. At 3 p.m, it's Manchester United against Burnley at Old Trafford. Burnley lost their first away game of the season 3-0 at Spurs, but followed that up with a 2-0 home win over Sunderland this weekend. Manchester United looked good against Arsenal at Old Trafford, but lost, and less good against Fulham on Sunday, but drew. Burnley have actually got a win and a draw in 2 of their last 4 visits to Old Trafford, but I can't see anything other than a convincing home win in this one. It's very much overdue for Ruben Amorim. Matthias de Ligt is a solid defensive option for this week. He is one of a select group of defenders who have racked up Defcon points in game weeks 1 and 2. Lenny Yoro is another option as well. We discussed him last week. And Luke Shaw is another player you could look at, although his injury record frankly scares me to such a point that he would definitely be a distant third on that list from those players. And Mason Mount has started both games for United so far this season, and his side went right off the boil when he was taken off against Fulham. So I would expect him to start again in this one, and this feels like the sort of game he could easily return in. As for Burnley, I know they won this weekend, but I can't really recommend any of their players with much confidence, not even Josh Cullen, so I would be focusing on Manchester United assets here. Spurs take on Bournemouth, which looks on paper like it's going to be a great game. It's a game which promises goals, and based on the last 5 games between these two in North London, should deliver goals. Last season it was 2-2. There's also been a 3-1 win for Spurs, 2 3-2 wins, 1 for each side, and a 5-0 win for Tottenham. Pap Sarr has scored 2 in his last 3 against Bournemouth, so he'll be looking to continue his good start to the season. And it's a game where I think quite a few players could hit that Defcon threshold and pick up a few easy points, Sarr included. He's got 10 and 9 contributions in the first 2 game weeks, so he's been there or thereabouts. João Paulinho is another player I do fancy to hit that Defcon threshold more often than not. He was 3 away against Manchester City, but defensive contributions are his bread and butter. And then there's someone like Jed Spence who could be free on a few waivers as well. Spurs have not conceded a goal this season, and after this game they have West Ham, Wolves and Leeds in 3 of their next 4, so a lot of clean sheet potential to come. As for Bournemouth, we've already mentioned Senesi as a Defcon beast, and while you'd expect Spurs to score here, I do think it will be a tight game, so I would expect him to walk away with 4 points or so. Justin Cliver has missed pre-season and the first 2 games of the campaign for Bournemouth, but he is on the cusp of a return, and while he might not be ready to start this one, he'll surely be fighting for a starting spot after the international break, so you could get in early with him. And then there's Amin Adli, who is a new signing for Bournemouth. He got 24 minutes against Wolves. He looked good playing on that right-hand side. He joined from Bayer Leverkusen, where he got 4 goals and 6 assists in their title-winning season back in 2023-2024. 10 goals and 12 assists in all competitions that season. 7 goals and 6 assists the season before that as well. But last season it was less good. Just 2 goals and 2 assists in 28 games. So he'll be hoping this move reawakens his attacking instincts. Sunderland take on Brentford at the Stadium of Light. It is the first ever meeting between these two sides in the Premier League. The last time they met was back in 2018 in the Championship when Brentford won 2-0. Reynaldo has been very solid for Sunderland so far at the back. He just missed out on Defcon points in the win over West Ham, but he did get them against Burnley, and Sunderland will be hoping their ground becomes a bit of a fortress this year. Brentford were awful on their first trip away from West London in Game Week 1, so if you think they'll be of a similar standard to that, Reynaldo could be a strong pickup with a high possibility of a clean sheet. However, if you think Game Week 2 was when we saw the real Brentford, someone like Sepp van den Berg has bagged Defcon points twice in as many games this season. Some impatient managers may have already dispensed with the services of Nathan Collins as well, and he would be an astute bit of business if you could get it done. And Dango Ouattara may not have been picked up in all leagues just yet, so if he is available, get him in. It's Wolves against Everton at Molineux, and Wolves actually have an amazing recent record against the Toffees. They've lost just 1 of the last 8 meetings, winning 5. So if they're ever going to win a game of football, it may well be this weekend. As for who might be a good option for them, I'm not really sure there is a standout candidate, to be honest. Maybe Arias, if he's available. He got 55 minutes against Bournemouth, but outside of that, there's not really anyone I would recommend with much confidence. Everton have got a few decent shouts, though. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall might not have returned yet, but he has got the highest XGI of any Everton player so far this season, so the stats say it's only a matter of time before he does return. And Jack Grealish may well have been dumped in Game Week 1 after only getting 19 minutes for Everton, but he will be a regular for them from now on, and he has shown how influential he can be. So if he is around on those waivers, he would be a great signing as well.
What does every USAA member have in common? Family. We're one big family who supports the military community and their eligible families. And if you, your parent, or spouse served, you could join our family and save big on auto insurance. Visit USAA.com/join today to check your eligibility. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Eczema isn't always obvious, but it's real. And so is the relief from Ebglyss. After an initial dosing phase, about 4 in 10 people taking Ebglyss achieved itch relief and clear or almost clear skin at 16 weeks. And most of those people maintain skin that's still more clear at 1 year with monthly dosing.
Ebglyss, lebrikizumab, LBKZ, a 250 milligram per 2 milliliter injection, is a prescription medicine used to treat adults and children 12 years of age and older who weigh at least 88 pounds or 40 kilograms with moderate to severe eczema, also called atopic dermatitis, that is not well controlled with prescription therapies used on the skin or topicals, or who cannot use topical therapies. Ebglyss can be used with or without topical corticosteroids. Don't use if you're allergic to Ebglyss. Allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Eye problems can occur. Tell your doctor if you have new or worsening eye problems. You should not receive a live vaccine when treated with Ebglyss. Before starting Ebglyss, tell your doctor if you have a parasitic infection.
Searching for real relief? Ask your doctor about Ebglyss and visit ebglyss.lilly.com or call 1-800-LILY-RX or 1-800-545-5979.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
in the 5:30 p.m. BST game. It is Leeds against Newcastle. 3 of the last 4 games between these two have ended in draws. The other one went the way of Newcastle. With no Anthony Gordon, Newcastle's attack is going to be even more decimated unless they make another signing before the weekend. Harvey Barnes will definitely start again, given the lack of alternatives. Jacob Ramsey could get a start as well. He looked decent off the bench against Liverpool. Dan Burn has benefited from the new Defcon rules in both game weeks, so he's a strong defensive option for you. And as for Leeds, Anton Stack was excellent in the win over Everton. He was a little bit quieter, as you would expect, at the Emirates, but he's on set pieces, he's got a hell of a shot, and he is someone else who can certainly benefit from Defcon. On Sunday, there are 4 matches to look forward to at 2 o'clock. It's Brighton against Manchester City at the Amex. Last season, Brighton won 2-1, thanks to goals from João Pedro and Matt O'Reilly. The season before, City smashed them 4-0, with Phil Foden scoring twice, and the season before that, it finished in a draw. There's certainly no guarantee that Phil Foden will play in this one, but if he does, there's every chance he will return. He's got 4 in his last 5 games against Brighton on the south coast. Nathan Ake should be a route into their back line if you want it, following Ryan Ait-Nouri's injury. As for Brighton, you would assume Matt O'Reilly is now Brighton's first choice penalty taker after Danny Welbeck's miss against Everton. O'Reilly got 0.47 XGI at the weekend as well, so he's very much in the thick of the action whenever Brighton do attack. And Mats Wife has shown he is a Defcon beast in those first 2 game weeks. 18 Defcon contributions in game week 1, 13 in game week 2, and you'd have to expect him to be there or thereabouts again this weekend. Nottingham Forest are at home to West Ham. Forest have won the last 3 games between these two by an aggregate score of 7-1, and they've won every game against West Ham at the City Ground since they came back up into the top flight without conceding a goal, by the way. Dan Ndoye has got 2 returns in as many games since joining the club, and with all the talk of Nuno being unhappy at the transfer business his club have done so far, you can safely assume he is happy with Ndoye, and West Ham have looked abysmal defensively so far this season. Wingers, especially against West Ham, are having a lovely time. 4 attacking returns from wingers in just 2 matches so far this season against the Hammers, so Ndoye has every chance of adding to that tally, as does Callum Hudson-Odoi, who scored at the weekend and had a few promising moments against Brentford as well. West Ham, I mean, they're a bit of a clown car of a football club right now. You could roll the dice on Jerf, but there's no way he's keeping a clean sheet, so you'll be going all in on his attacking return potential. Paqueta also showed he's capable of something out of nothing, but to be honest, I would steer clear of all Hammers assets for this week at least. And then at 4:30 p.m, BST, it is an absolutely huge game at Anfield between Liverpool and Arsenal. Arsenal are unbeaten in their last 6 games against the champions, and each of the last 3 matches at Anfield have ended in draws. Gabriel Martinelli loves a game against Liverpool. He scored in 2 of the last 3 matches between these two sides. Marino scored in both league games last season, and Mohamed Salah has 2 in his last 3 games against Arsenal at Anfield. There will be no Bukayo Saka for the Gunners, so Noni Madueke will surely start on the right. I would expect Martinelli to get the nod on the left, given his track record against Liverpool, but Trossard will definitely share minutes with him, and either player could easily make an impact on that left-hand side. We don't know if Conor Bradley is going to be fit to start the match. He did come off the bench against Newcastle. Dominic Szoboszlai started at right-back in that game. He did pretty well against Harvey Barnes, but I would expect either Szoboszlai or Barnes to face more problems against a Martinelli or a Trossard. As for Liverpool, keep an eye out for news on Conor Bradley, because if he does play, you've probably got him for at least one other game after this, and that game, after the international break, is away at Burnley, and Alexis McAllister should be ready to start this one as well after missing the Newcastle game, and he's always capable of popping up with a goal. He got an assist in game week 1, and you wouldn't rule him out of hitting that Defcon threshold against Arsenal as well. And then wrapping up the weekend is a game between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace at Villa Park. This one kicks off at 7 o'clock BST. And the last time these two met was way back in April at Wembley, when Crystal Palace won 3-0 in the FA Cup semi-final. Villa and Palace actually met 4 times last season across 3 different competitions. And Palace won 3 and drew 1, with Ismaila Sarr scoring 5 goals in those 4 games. Justin Devaney replaced Eberici Eze in their Conference League game and in their match against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. I'm not sure he's quite at the standard you'd be looking for as a long-term Eze replacement, but maybe they'll do something in the transfer market before this game. If they don't, and you assume that Mateta and Sarr are both taken, you could maybe make an argument for Adam Wharton, but I'm not really convinced. As for Villa, they've had a woeful start to the season. They need some pace on the wings desperately, and there is the whole Evan Gesand conundrum if you already own him. I would probably hold him for another week and see if Emery finally trusts him, but if not, it's probably time to ditch him. The other thing to consider this week are those players who are already registered as Premier League players, but who are being strongly linked with a move to another club before deadline day. It's worth keeping these in mind, because if they do switch clubs, you could end up getting them in before your rivals. Big names being linked with moves who should be free in your draft league include Alejandro Garnacho to Chelsea, Mark Gahey to Liverpool, Axel Disasi to Bournemouth, and Savinho to Spurs. If the rumours are still there come the waiver deadline and the moves haven't been made, you might want to roll the dice on 1 or 2 of those in the hope they get over the line before the Gameweek 3 deadline. Savinho is probably the best bet of that lot we just mentioned. And then, of course, we are 2 weeks into the new season, and already certain managers will be losing patience with a few of their assets, which opens up the possibility of you being able to rinse them for their players and strike a couple of tasty trades. Players to consider making a move for include Jared Bowen, who is playing in an admittedly stinky West Ham side, but he is one of the most consistent performers in the top flight, and he will come good eventually. Then there is Big Dom Solanke, who has lost his place to Richarlison at Spurs, who is looking really good right now, but has an injury track record of doom. And if you assume it's only a matter of time before he gets injured again, Solanke fits the bill as a buy low kind of option. He will get lots of minutes at Spurs, and he will surely come good sooner rather than later. And then a few more risky picks to think about include Omar Mamouche and Phil Foden of Manchester City. Now, neither of these are guaranteed starters right now, but after that defeat to Spurs, it may well be a good time to make an approach for Foden in the hope he gets in the game. And all it will take is a couple of goals from Mamouche for him to become flavour of the month again as well. And even if you get him in as a short-term pick and sell after he does haul, knowing he'll be a rotation risk, you're probably going to get good value for him from someone else in your league. So a few options for you there. And that is how Game Week 3 looks like. Those are your waiver picks to strengthen your draft team, some trade targets to consider, and some Defcon beasts to bear in mind as well. Let us know which players have caught your eye ahead of the waiver deadline and where you see the most potential for points in terms of those upcoming fixtures. You can get in touch with us on X and Instagram at FPL Draft Zone. We're also on Blue Sky as well at fpldraftzone.bsky.social, and we're on Reddit as well. If you can spare 30 seconds, it would be great if you could give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or a nice comment on Spotify or whatever podcast platform you listen to us on. And until next time, it's good luck in the waivers, good luck in free agency, good luck in your head-to-head matchup, and it's bye for now.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, streaming now only on Netflix.